What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I know earlier today we talked about Alberta independence and we talked about the Alberta Next panels that are going on currently, in Alberta. Danielle Smith, the Premier, as well as a number of MLAs, are touring around Alberta to essentially talk about what's on Albertans' minds, to get a finger on the pulse, so to speak, when it comes to what do Albertans need? What do they expect? What mandates do they want their government to have should they stay in power after the next provincial election? One of the hot button issues that we showed in the last video was, of course, the discussion on Alberta independence and showing Ottawa that Alberta has had enough. But one of the things that also was brought up inside this panel that I definitely want to cover today is about Alberta's constitution. We've talked about Danielle Smith and shown her in other videos talking that she'd like to go maybe the Quebec route, where Alberta has more control over what goes out of the province, what comes in. When we talk about healthcare, when we talk about its policing, when we talk about pensions, collecting taxes and redistribution to the Alberta or to the federal government, Danielle Smith wants more control inter-province and less control federally. Now, some good discussions did happen, and I'm going to get into those. But before we do, I just want to highlight to everybody, if you do live in Alberta and do want to go to an Alberta Next panel, again, I'm not paid or endorsed to push this forward. But if you watched our last video, and even if you watched our last video, you're seeing this pitch again. But these panels are being conducted so that you Albertans, all of us, can go to these events, sit down with our MLAs, our Premier, and let them know just how we feel, what we expect of them. Anytime I've said, it's good to send a letter, it's good to call them, let them know what's on your mind. These discussions are the ones that are going to tell them the direction they need to head if they wish to continue representing Albertans. If you want independence, if you want changes to be made, if you have questions for your government, register for one of these panels. Go to them now. Now, again, at the time of filming this video, it was still July 16th. Of course, so it says Sherwood Park registration down here. But the next event will be the 14th of Edmonton, the 14th of August in Edmonton. Fort McMurray on the 26th, Lloydminster, August 27th, and then a bunch of dates you can see over here in September when they wrap up on the 29th in Calgary. The registration does show up down below here 2 weeks prior. So as of August 1st, you can register for the Edmonton event and so on 2 weeks prior to Fort Mac and etc. Head over to alberta.ca/next and you can get all your information on these panels as well as where these town halls are going to be. They'll let you know the location as soon as you click on the registration. Make sure you attend these. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about and show is part of the live stream, because they got onto the Constitution and they started talking about the Constitution. Now, I'm not going to show the jumbled word salad that comes from the Alberta government. What I want to show is some of the questions that are coming from Albertans, because a lot of people feel, again, and the reason I want to show this is the benefit of these panels. The reason people are going here is because they're frustrated and fed up. They've had enough. But this just shows right now, for anybody saying that independence isn't a thing or people saying that nothing's going to happen, this is the tone that sits inside Alberta right now. And a lot of residents here have some good ideas and some good opinions. I want to highlight those when talking about the Constitution, because regardless of the answers that are given, this government now knows what rests on the mind of Albertans. Let's take a look.
Good evening, Joel Mullins, Spruce Grove. Evening, Premier, panelists. I would quote Metallica in this case, nothing else matters. The foundation of this country is truly rotten. It's built in such a way that the West is little more than a colony of the East. The East is politically empowered, the West is politically muzzled. You have representation in the House of Commons that is unequal between the provinces. It favors eastern provinces. You have New Brunswick, for example, with 86,000 people per MP. Meanwhile, in Alberta, we have 134,000 people per MP. How's that right? How is that just? The Senate is even worse. So broadly, yes to everything in this video, and this needs to be the priority. You can't fix the country if you don't fix the foundation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is John. I am from Trochu, Alberta. My question is going to be about why we are even talking about changing the Constitution that we know is a raw deal for us, and why don't we move towards a republic? We're talking about abolishing a Senate. We already have an example in the United States of like there is an equal Senate across states. We could have the same thing here across Canada. It is Canadians. I think that we should have a united Canada. I think the Constitution, and I saw it in the video, why we have a King's Bench or we have a Lieutenant Governor. I don't agree with either of those things. I think that Alberta should actually declare our independence, create a republic, and then unite with Canadians. And I just want to know where we're at. Instead of doing a referendum within the Constitution, how do we actually engage as a sovereign nation, a country of Alberta?
Gotcha. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi there, John from Pinoka. Just had a quick question here. Amending Articles 21 through 24 of the Senate under the 750 rule, it would need Ontario and Quebec consent, right? Which seems unlikely. How can an Alberta referendum overcome the opposition to Senate reform? Or is separation referendum with growing support a more viable path for Alberta's interests?
Okay, Bruce, Your Honor, I don't know if you can answer that specifically, but would you like to weigh in and provide a little context with your experience?
Yes, I will. I'd like, under our Constitution, there's an amending formula. It's in Section 38, and it covers most potential amendments. There's some that I'll get to in a minute, but the one the gentleman was dealing with would be covered by Section 38, which says amendment to the Constitution of Canada may be made by proclamation issued by the Governor-General under the Great Seal of Canada or so authorized by A, resolutions of the Senate and the House of Commons, and resolutions of the legislative assemblies of at least two-thirds of the provinces that have, in the aggregate, according to the then latest general census, at least 50% of the population of all provinces. I haven't done the math, frankly, but it may well be that there could be an amendment as long as it had the support of Ontario and Alberta and the other provinces and not have Quebec. You just have to find out how much of their population, and we would assume, let's assume for sake of argument, they wouldn't be in the two-thirds of the provinces, but they may not have enough population to stymie it. So it is.
So what they're saying here and what's being said, and the reason I wanted to show that answer, is that Albertans' concerns are generally real. And when you hear the questions being asked, it also sets a tone for the room. This is what to expect at these panels. You do have the ability to ask your questions. And again, I would encourage anybody in the areas that they're showing any of these panels to register, go ask your questions if you can. Make sure it's heard. It's not just cannon fodder. This isn't Mark Carney blowing off questions in order, like question period style, to move away. This is the Alberta government essentially taking a census from everybody to understand where we stand moving forward, what people expect of their representation. The problem with the answer when it comes to how we can get away from the federals and amend the Constitution, in per se to the question that was asked, is that we'd have to outnumber Quebec. It always comes down to outnumbering Quebec. We would need the support of other provinces, which we know we're never going to get. And again, this is painting a picture for all Albertans in the room. For anybody who stands on the fence when it comes to why would we want a republic? Why would we want independence? Why do we want to move away from the federal government? All of the answers coming from this panel shows you just how stuck not just Alberta, but every province is within the red tape of the government. Red tape has been a big problem when it comes to our construction industry, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to taxes, when it comes to healthcare, a number of issues, because these red tape safeguards are put in place to benefit our government, not the people. It's the shareholders, it's the people getting the contracts, it's the guys padding their pockets. If all provinces are going to be held to this standard of red tape that, well, if you don't like the way things are, that's too bad. We did this a long, long time ago and there's nothing you could do about it. That has to end. And this is why I keep saying that The whole purpose of independence, whether it's Saskatchewan, whether it's Alberta, interior BC, when you're talking, even if Manitoba jumps on board, if other provinces start pushing their MLAs and their premiers to say, hey, we want the same options too, you deserve them. If a federal government or even a provincial government is not going to honor the mandates of its citizens, it's time for the citizens to do something about it. Now, those hills are high to climb, and I'm not going to deny that, there isn't some work that has to be done in that, and sometimes those tasks are going to fail. I've said numerous times that there's a chance Alberta independence could fail. But if you don't at least make an effort, you can't learn from it, you can't find your next path. And that's what essentially Albertans are looking to do, is just to say, look, we all just want to be treated fair at the table. We want what's fair for the people. We want what's fair from a government. It's going to be interesting to see what the Alberta Next panel does with the input it receives from Albertans. But again, let me know down below in the comments if you're going to be attending these. Let me know what you think about the questions being asked, or if you know, like I'm saying, that the tone that's being set in this room, if people are going to deny that independence is a possibility or that it doesn't resound in Alberta, tell me if you don't get that feeling by listening to the tempers of the people in the room. I think that it's very astounding or resounding at this point that Albertans are done. They're fed up and they don't see another option. The most effective option is also the most aggressive option, and that is to leave. Now, as a Canadian, I certainly don't want to leave because I love Canada, but I hate my federal government, if that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that subscribe button, you click the bell for all notifications so that you never miss a beat whenever a video drops on this channel. Join me each Friday for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we talk about everything that happened this week in Canadian politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, as well as your Q&A, just like these panels, within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos each and every week. I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.